Despite spending £1 billion in the transfer market, Chelsea still can't get a win at home to Southampton. To say I wish my team Real Madrid drew them in the Champions League would be an understatement. In case you're asking yourself how is it that these grimy bastards are able to circumvent this financial fair play through a loophole called amortization, I'm here to explain it. First, let's do a quick overview of financial fair play, since these guys seem to be spending all this money. And why was it developed in the first place? It was created to ensure the financial stability and sustainability of football clubs. If clubs take on too much debt, like their Mike Tyson in the 90s,
you like BMWs?
It could cause instability to the rest of the league. Clubs are required to operate within their financial means. I did another video on this, which you can check out. Let's break that down further. If you're wondering why clubs like Newcastle that are owned by the Saudis don't just go out there and spend all their money on Mbappe and Haaland and others, it's because they're required to show UEFA and the Premier League how they can generate enough revenue to cover expenses. So bigger clubs with higher revenue can spend more in the transfer market, and that's been obvious for some time now, as the top 6 in the Premier League have a significant advantage in terms of revenue from their peers in Europe. Take the example of Manchester United. Chelsea has now spent over £600 million since Todd Boehly bought the club. How have they managed to do that within the confines of financial fair play? It's through something called amortization, or spreading the cost of the players by signing them on a very long contract. In the example of Mudryk, they signed him on an 8.5-year contract, which breaks down to be about 10 million euros a year. The risk here being that they sign these players and they turn out to be shit, like the example of Lukaku, where they signed him from Inter Milan for a club £98 million on a 5-year contract. Before moving on, let's talk a little bit more about amortization. When a club purchases a player, they typically pay a transfer fee to the player's previous club. The transfer fee is usually a large amount of money, and it can be difficult for a club to pay the fee upfront. To make the payment more manageable, the club can spread out the cost of the transfer fee over the length of the player's contract. For example, if a club buys a player for $30 million on a 5-year contract, they can amortize the transfer fee for spreading the $30 million cost over 5 years of the contract. This means that the club would record an annual expense of $6 million for the player's transfer fee in their financial statements. Amortization can have an impact on the club's financial situation because it affects their profit and loss statement. A club may choose to amortize a transfer fee over a shorter or longer period of time depending on their financial strategy. It's worth noting that amortization of a player's transfer fee is separate from their wages and other costs associated with their contract. Wages and other costs are recorded as expenses in the year that they're paid, whereas the transfer fee is amortized over the length of the player's contract. Some are calling this the loophole that Chelsea are using to sign players on big fees, and it hasn't always worked out for them. In case you're wondering why these geniuses decided to buy 10 players that played the same position, that's not a question I can answer. Clearly, the people running this club haven't been around football long. Chelsea is undoubtedly one of the most unbalanced teams out there. When they were down to Southampton at home yesterday, they decided to bring on Raheem Shillings and not Mudryk, which makes me wonder why they cock-blocked Arsenal in the first place. Chelsea plays Dortmund in the Champions League in a couple days, and there's no question after they get knocked out like Pacquiao, they'll try to buy Jude Bellingham on a 20-year contract. Do yourself a favor, Jude, and don't join the Titanic. Harry Potter is clearly not the man. Any day now he will be sacked. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.